what we'll be talking about today. Last week, we began a new series. And in that new series, we talked on love is your nature. And we said that we talk a lot about love, but we never really sit down and ask ourselves, where did we learn love from? And because most of the images that we have about love, the concept, the understanding that we have about love is from movies and books and friends and peers who don't know any better. they tell us about what love is supposed to mean. But we found out last week from 1 John chapter 4 verse 8 and 1 John 3:8 that 1 John 4:8 that God is love. And that you cannot know God and not know love. For you to know love, you must know God. It's imperative. God is love. So for us to know God, we must know love as well. Or for us to know love, we must know God. So your love journey begins when you begin to know God. So that was our message last week. It's on YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel and enjoy the message. Today we'll be talking about the reason for rejection in relationships. You'll be surprised that there's a reason why we face rejection in our lives. Jack Ma is the founder of Alibaba. He's the richest man in China. Jack Ma, he was not thinking outside of the box. So he applied to Harvard University. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 10 times, and was 10 times rejected. Jack Ma was in China, in their city. So Colonel Sanders showed up with KFC, with his food chain KFC, and started a food chain in China, of course, brought KFC to his city. 24 people showed up at KFC to apply for a job. 23 people were accepted. 1 person was rejected. That 1 person was Jack Ma. Jack Ma, rejection forced him to think outside of the box. And today, he is the richest man in China. So rejection is not all bad. We're going to see this morning how rejection is actually good. I know every one of us has experienced rejection. You've experienced some form of rejection in your life. This morning we'll be bringing out the reason. Why did you experience rejection? Why is rejection good or bad? What can you do when you are rejected? Why do people let you down? Because people will let you down. And when people let you down, what will you do? When people let you down, how are you supposed to react? How does that impact you? People will let you down. You'll be disappointed in people. You'll be disillusioned. Every single one of us, every human being, faces rejection. But we process it differently. We look at rejection like, oh, this is the worst thing that ever happened to my life. But God looks at it differently. Maybe you're a child, you're growing up, you ask yourself, why? Why would a good God cause me to face this kind of rejection? You're born into a family, you don't know your parents. You're born into a situation, and your parents have to part ways. You're torn in the middle. Rejection, disappointment, disillusionment. Why? Is there anything good? Why would a good God orchestrate rejection? Because sometimes it's actually God who causes rejection in our lives. Why would a good God even permit rejection? Because sometimes every rejection that has ever happened in your life, God permitted it to happen. But if you find out why God permitted it to happen, that will change everything about the way you look at that rejection. That moment of disappointment that you've had. That moment of pain that crushed your heart. So this morning, let's begin by looking at the life of Joseph. Joseph was one of the 12 sons of Jacob. The beloved son of Jacob. The special son of Jacob. He was the dreamer. He could dream. He had great dreams. But because his dreams made the people, made his brothers to look at him as a traitor, to look at him with envy and hatred, they hated him. They rejected him. And Joseph, who was loved by his father, had to go through pain. He was loved by his father above all his children. Proof, his father bought him a coat of many colors. His father treated him as his favorite child. His father loved him too much. And that's something we should all understand. When you love a human being too much, you are going to face rejection. The root of all problems. We'll read Genesis 45, verse 4 to 5. But I want us to look at this proposition. The root of all problems in this world can be identified as a misdirected love. Amen. All problems that we are facing in this world is misdirected love. Either people love themselves too much. That's the first thing. They love themselves too much. And they feel like the world surrounds around them. So, because they love themselves too much, they will do everything to fulfill their own desires. They will do everything to fulfill their own yearning. They will do everything to fulfill, to feel satisfied, to have comfort, to have everything that they need. So they can kill, they can steal, they can do all kinds of things. Crime! What's the source of crime? People trying to kill other people for their own benefit. Kill to steal. Kill to own. Destroy. Traffic others. Yeah, that's a painful thing. But that's life. That's the world we live in. Either people love themselves too much, that's one, or people don't love others as themselves. If we could only apply the great commandment, Jesus told us, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. That will heal our world. Amen. Jesus didn't come to the world to set the world free with weapons and missiles and nuclear capability. No, he didn't come to give us nuclear capability. He came with a weapon that crushes every weapon. He came with a weapon of love. And when he brought love, he conquered every other kingdom. His kingdom lives forever. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. Not because of the security capability that he has established. Not because of the nuclear power that he has established. No, because of the immense love, the unconditional love that he expressed and that he released. Amen. All problems in our world, the root of it is the love problem. If we can understand love, we would win. We would overcome. We would begin to solve the problems in our world. So let's read Joseph, rejected by his own brothers. And Joseph said to his brothers, I'm reading Genesis 45, verse 4 to 5. And Joseph said to his brothers, please come near to me. So they came near. Then he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But now, do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourselves, because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. You sold me as a slave, but God sent me before you to preserve life. The reason for rejection in relationships. Is there any reason why we have rejection in our relationships? Is it any benefit to us? Is it any benefit to God? Let's look at the life of Joseph and begin to piece things together in part. Joseph was loved by Jacob. First of all, you would know that Joseph was the son of Rachel. Rachel was the love of the life of Jacob. Jacob loved Rachel to death. He could do anything for Rachel. And Laban tricked him. After for Jacob to get married to Rachel, he had to work for 7 years. And when he worked for 7 years, Jacob said, no, if I give Rachel, Laban said, if I give Rachel in marriage before Leah, it's going to be messy. Leah might never get married. So I'm going to as well just send Leah ahead. So Jacob got married and got up in the morning, found out he was getting married to Leah, not Rachel. He said, why did you do this to me? And Rachel, I love Rachel. Why did you give Leah to me? And so Jacob had to work another 7 years to be able to get the love of his life, Rachel. Now when he got the love of his life, Rachel, by the time he got married to Rachel, Leah had given birth to about 6 or 7 children. So Rachel was there, the love of his life, and Leah was there to give birth. Rachel only had 2 children, and Rachel died while she was giving birth. The question I want to ask is, why did Rachel die while she was giving birth to her 2nd child? And Leah was just giving birth like a normal person. Well, there might be many reasons why Leah had to be giving birth and never had an issue, because she was rejected. She was alone, isolated. She was in a relationship she didn't have sensed any love at all. She was just catching up. But Rachel was loved. Rachel received all the love of Jacob. Rachel was Jacob's idol. And Jacob's idol did not live for long. Jacob's idol died at a young age. When you love somebody too much, they become your idol. And when they become your idol, things don't go the way you think they should go. Because when you idolize a human being, you replace them. You replace God with them. You concentrate your love on them instead of loving God. And because you concentrate your love on them instead of loving God first, you drain the life out of them. The life that is in them begins to drain away. Yes, you mean, Pastor, I shouldn't love? Oh no, please do love. But prioritize love. Love God first, and then love the love of your life. Second, if you change the order, it's going to be messy. Things will not be like you are planning. Jacob found it the hard way. He lost his wife, the love of his life. He replaced God in his life with Rachel. And with the moment he replaced God with Rachel, Rachel became an idol. He idolized Rachel and said, Rachel, you are the love of my life. I can't imagine living life without you. Oh, when you idolize somebody, because we as human beings, we were not meant to be idolized. If you idolize somebody, you steal life out of them. You suck life out of them. Yeah, you're pouring love on them. Yes, you're pouring love, but in return, you get disappointment. You get disillusionment. So Jacob found it out the wrong way. But he did not learn his lesson. That's the thing with human beings. He did not learn. So he continued to pour his love on Joseph. And he idolized Joseph. So I just shared with you, married people, a simple secret. Yes, love your wife, love your husband, but love God first. Amen. If you want your husband, if you want your wife to live longer, love God first. And then love your wife, your husband second. So Jacob did not learn the lesson, so he just changed the idol in his life from Rachel to Joseph. And God thought about it and said, what am I going to do? Because when you love somebody, when you idolize a human being, you're competing with God. And God, who is God? He has a way of orchestrating things. You saw it. Say, God sent me here to preserve life. God had to orchestrate a switch in the life of Jacob. Jacob's own brother, from the same father, eating on the same table, sold him as a slave. The only thing that will help you to separate you, to deliver you from idol worship of human beings, is when there's death. So to Jacob, Joseph was dead. Joseph was dead. Because Joseph was dead, he wept, he grieved, but there was nothing he could do. God just took Joseph out of the scene because Joseph was going to die like Rachel. God just had to take Joseph out of the scene because he was on the same path like Rachel. He was being idolized. I have a word for parents this morning. If you idolize your child, you're going to make that child lose life. They will not respect you. They will not listen to you. They will never return the love. If you idolize that child, hear my word very well. I said idolize. I didn't say if you love that child. If you idolize that child and you do everything for that child, you don't discipline the child, you don't take good care of the child, you don't train up the child, you don't help the child to be able to have values, they will not have any humanity in them. Jacob idolized Joseph. And at the end of it all, Joseph almost lost his life. As a parent, make sure you are not idolizing that child. If you want to save that child's life. Maybe I'm talking like this, sins are running through your life. You say, why did that child die so young? I mean, the parents love the child. Why is that child always sick? The parents love that child so much. Yeah, the too much love you're pouring on that child is sucking love out of that, sucking life out of that child. The too much love is sucking life out of them. Should you love your child? Of course. Of course. But should you idolize your child? No. Give God the first place. Because God will protect that child even while you're gone. God will be there for that child even when you're a parent. You as a parent, you are not able to be there. Rejection. Is there a reason for rejection? No, don't hate your child. Don't treat your child the way that is inhumane. No. Don't do that. You do that, God is going to be angry with you. But God wants you to love the child, but don't idolize the child. Because when you idolize that child, you're spoiling the child. Have you seen children that act like, that child is like a spoiled brat? Have you seen those? Have you seen those kind of children? They talk back, they yell at you, they throw temper tantrums. It doesn't matter their age, because they've been spoiled. They've been spoiled with love. They've been idolized. And because they've been idolized, the world is about them. It doesn't matter what you think. They can even kill you. Just because you didn't give them what they asked. You will give them everything, but they are never satisfied. They will never be satisfied because you have idolized them. That was Joseph and Jacob's situation. So God had to take Joseph, out of the scene. And to Jacob, it was as if he was dead. You remember Abraham? Abraham waited for Isaac for 25 years. When Isaac came to the scene, oh, Abraham forgot about God. Abraham said, this is my son. This is my heir. I have a son. I can sit now and talk. I have a son who's going to inherit my inheritance. Who's going to take over my inheritance. That was Isaac. You know what God said? God said, take your son, Isaac, whom you loved, sacrifice him. God was teaching Abraham a lesson. It's going to be painful for that separation to happen. When Abraham was able to apply, not everybody, that's why God blessed Abraham. Not everybody will listen to these words and it makes sense to them. Let's say, Pastor's just talking. Pastor's just talking. Not everybody will listen to these words and they will make sense. But God spoke to Abraham and he applied the words. He went and obeyed God and saved the life of Isaac. He went to kill Isaac. He gave up Isaac. Said, God, Isaac is yours. I will not love Isaac more than I love you. I will not make Isaac an idol in my life. And God saved Isaac. You think you love your child more than God? No. God gave the child to you. You don't love your husband more than God. You don't love your wife more than God. God gave that person to you. You don't love your brother more than God. God gave that person to you. So you don't want to replace that person with God. Because when you concentrate your love on a person, you reduce your love for God. That's what idol worship is. You concentrate your love on that person, it reduces your love for God. I know it's a hard one, but practical. Real life. So Abraham learned, and that was a lesson for us, that love gives. We'll talk about that more on Christmas. So Joseph was rejected. He was rejected by his own brothers. Can you imagine how painful it was for Joseph? For his own brothers to sell him off as a slave. Not as a servant, no. And then make up a story about his life and lie to their father that Joseph is dead. Talk about rejection. Talk about hatred. His brothers hated him. They rejected him. They looked at him and said, we will do away with him and we'll see what will become of his dream. The dreamer. We'll see what his life will become like. Without dreams. Let's sell him off. He's going to go walk his back off. And we'll see what that dream will look like. They sold him off. When they sold him off, something happened in his life. Rejection is an opportunity to let go of good relationships with humans to experience the greatest of relationship with God. I don't know any rejection that you faced in your life. Maybe you're experiencing rejection right now in your relationships. I want you to know that that rejection is not all bad. God wants to show you his love. When you are rejected, it's the opportunity for you to experience the next level of God's love. When you are rejected, something good is about to come your way from God's own heart. God wants you to know him more. He wants you to know his love more. When Joseph was rejected, the word of God tells us that Joseph went from being a slave to being a servant in Potiphar's house. From being a servant in Potiphar's house to being a prisoner. Even in prison, he left from prison to being a king in Egypt. Second in command in the greatest kingdom of the world at that time. Amen. Why? Because God was with him. He saw God. He was walking with God. He knew God. He heard God. He experienced God's love.
Amen.
When you're rejected, yes, cry but walk away. Knowing that that's not all. It's a good thing. That person didn't value you because they don't know you. Your Father values you. Your God values you. He knows your worth.
Amen.
Joseph experienced pain. Betrayed by his own brothers. Betrayed by those who were supposed to support him. Who were supposed to love him. Who were supposed to be there for him. Who were supposed to have his back. They threw him off. When your father and your mother forsake you, the Lord will take care of you.
Amen. Amen.
Psalm 27 verse 10. God wants you to understand how this thing works. You will be rejected. You will experience disappointment in people. People will let you down. People will let you down. But when somebody lets you down, don't let it get at you. Just turn to God. Turn to God like Joseph did. He didn't have a choice. No? One of the greatest things that happens to us is pain. We look at pain as a difficult time. Yes, it's a painful time. It's a time where we are losing hope. It's a time when we are out of control. When we look at pain, it's crushing. It's difficult. But God looks at pain very differently. He takes our pain and transforms it and uses it to bless us. He takes our pain and uses that pain to heal us. He uses that pain to raise us up. I don't know what pain you're going through in your relationships. I don't know what pain you're going through. But one thing I know, that pain is for your good.
Amen.
That pain will bring gain. That pain will lift you up.
Oh, yes.
That pain will bring joy to you one day.
Amen.
Right now, it doesn't look like it, but that pain is pain for good.
Amen.
That pain is to preserve your life. That pain is to protect you. That pain is so that you can know God's love.
Amen.
Without that pain, you will never know
Amen.
another dimension of God's love. Ask Joseph. Ask Joseph. Joseph was happy at the end of the day. And no, you should. I forgive you. I forgave you a long time ago. I knew that you did not know what you were doing. You just hated me. I forgave you. Forgive yourself. Maybe you've never really forgave your ex. Maybe you never really forgave that person that hurt you so bad. You need to forgive. Forgive them like Joseph did. There's a reason for your rejection. God took you out of there. God either allowed it or God orchestrated it for your good. So that your life should not be cut short like that of Rachel. So that you can be able to fulfill your purpose in this life. I like us to look at Ammon. Ammon was a spoiled brat. I don't know if it's Ammon or Amnon. He was the first son of David. In those days, when you are the first son, it's automatic. You are the king. Next in line. So David had this son called Amnon, his first son. And he loved him too much. Too much. He always protected this child. Whenever this child did anything wrong, he wouldn't say a thing. He wouldn't discipline the child. He just like, you're just complaining too much. Leave him alone. Why do you hate him? Why do you talk against him? And he will always give this child treats. He took care of this child, Amnon. He was his favorite child because he was with the king. He was going to be the next king after King David. He loved Amnon too much. He idolized Amnon. And Amnon became something else. Amnon became a hater. Remember I told you? Love is at the root of all problems in our world. Either too much love for oneself or not enough love for the others. So let's read the story of Amnon in 2 Samuel chapter 13. You see for yourself. And if you have time, you can read all of it. You enjoy it. It's painful, but after having given you this context, you find out how our world operates. No, brother. Now, Amnon was in love with his sister. His own sister. Not from the same mother, but from the same father. He was in love with Absalom's sister. Absalom was another son of David. I don't have time to go into all the details. But Absalom was Tamar's brother. And Tamar was an innocent person, not knowing anything, just being herself, just living her life. And the brother got so much in love with her, that the brother would become sick just because of that. And so the brother asked Jonadab. Jonadab was one of their brothers too, but he was a streetwise guy. That's what Mrs. says. So he could give bad advice. So Jonadab asked Tamar, why are you so disillusioned? Why are you so disappointed? You are the king's son. Come on. What do you want? You can get anything you want. The kingdom belongs to you after David. And Amnon, being a spoiled brat, he just said, one word. You know my problem? Tamar. Tamar is my problem. I don't know how I will be able to get to her. So let's read. He framed up that he was sick. And when he framed up that he was sick, he sent servants to his father and said, I'm sick. I've been sick for a couple of days. I'm not eating. The father said, what can we do? He said, send Tamar to come and comfort me and help me so that I can heal. He had a plan. So when they sent Tamar prepared bread, kneaded the dough, did everything. When he was about to serve him, he said everybody should go out. All the servants, everyone should go out. Let them eat in her bedroom, in his bedroom. Let her feed him in his bedroom. And when they went into his bedroom, this is what happened. No, brother, she said, don't hurt me. This kind of thing isn't done in Israel. Don't do this terrible thing. Where could I ever show my face? And you'll be out on the street in disgrace. Oh, please speak to the king. He'll let you marry me. But he wouldn't listen. Being more stronger than she, he raped her. No sooner had Ammon raped her than he hated her. An immense hatred. The hatred that he felt for her was greater than the love he had had for her. Get up, he said, and get out. Oh no, brother, she said, please, this is an even worse evil than what you just did to me. But he wasn't listening to. He wouldn't listen to her. He called for his valet. Get rid of this woman. Get her out of my sight. And lock the door after her. The valet threw her out and locked the door behind her. This is David's response. King David heard the whole story and was enraged. But he didn't discipline Ammon. David doted on him because he was his firstborn. The the next king. Absalom quit speaking to Amnon. Not a word, whether good or bad, because he hated him for violating his sister, Tamar. At the end of the story, Absalom did a plot. Killed Amnon. Absalom ran away. Came back to overthrow his father, to become king. And he gathered the whole Israel. He won the heart of Israel. Absalom was a beautiful guy, handsome. He drew away the whole of Israel against his father David. And they waged a war against his own father. In the battle, God turned the counsel of Ahithophel. Ahithophel was the king's counselor to foolish counsel. And that's how David was able to defeat his own son. I want you to understand that rejection in relationships creates the chance to experience the love and care of God. This story, as painful as it is a story of rejection. It's a story of misdirected love. David didn't care to discipline Amnon. And that created a wasted life. Tragedy, pain, hatred. Psalms 27 verse 10 already told us this: when your father and mother forsake you, then the Lord will take care of you. There's a love that God wants to show you. But if you are idolizing somebody, if you have an idol that you're pouring your love on, your idol might be your work. It might just not be a person. Your idol may be your car. It might be anything. It might be your bank account. It's swollen so big and you're just feeling good about it. And you forget about God. Your idol can be anything. Anything that you concentrate your love and your time on. And it reduces your love on God. That thing destroys your life. So there's a couple of things, there's a couple of blessings, there's a couple of good things that happen when there's rejection. Every one of us is going to be rejected. You're going to face rejection. Everybody will not like you. Everybody will not accept you. Even Jesus was rejected by his own people, the Israelites. You know what his rejection gained? The whole world. Rejection is good. I don't know if I'm saying that, but I actually said that rejection is good. I don't know what rejection you face in your life. Look at it. Look at the good side of it. Look at the good side of it. Don't look at the bad side of it for too long. Learn your lesson and look at the good side of it. Joseph was rejected. Because he was rejected, he experienced the care of God. God took him one step after the next until he fulfilled his dream. Joseph fulfilled his dream because he was rejected. He became king in the neighboring continent. He left from the Middle East and became king in Egypt, in Africa. That's how God does. There was no other way Joseph would have accomplished his dream if there was no rejection. So a couple of things I want us to look at. The reason for your rejection is to help you create the environment to fulfill your purpose. When there's rejection, go back to God. Ask God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to learn? How do you want me to process this? Rejection is not all bad. Rejection is not all a painful situation. Yes, it's a painful situation. It's difficult. You might be asking yourself, why did I find myself in this situation? My parents don't like me. My brothers hate me. They pick on me at school. Why? Well, you have a reason. You have a reason to use that rejection, that bad experience, and fulfill your purpose. Fulfill your purpose. Another thing that I'd like us to look at in rejection is what happened to Joseph. See, because you sold me here, I'm reading Verse 5. But now do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourself because you sowed me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. Your rejection is your protection. Your rejection is to protect you. Leah was rejected. She lived for a long time. Rachel was loved, was idolized, but she died at a young age. Amnon was loved, idolized. He was murdered by his own brother. Joseph was rejected, but he preserved not only his life, but he preserved the life of his brothers. He preserved the life of his father. He preserved even the life of the whole world. Rejection is for your protection. I don't know what rejection you have faced, and you feel like giving up. No, don't give up. Don't. It's to protect you. It's to preserve your life. It's to help you. Joseph's life was protected because of that rejection. Whatever pain you have been through, it is painful, of course. But that pain, it's better to have that pain than to lose your life. It's better to go through that pain and come out of that pain stronger. Come out of that pain understanding God more, better, than to lose your life.
Amen.
I want to show us a sad video. Sad video, but also gives context and perspective of what we have been sharing this morning. If you're in a relationship and your life is threatened, get out. Don't stick around it. Because if you stick around, even though you've been rejected, you've been kicked out, you've been thrown out, love has turned into hatred, just like Tamar and Amnon, you don't get out. You might be digging your grave. I'm not saying divorce your husband. I'm not saying divorce your wife. I'm just saying if your life is threatened, if your life is in danger, get out. So let's watch this video. Please dim the light.
Sounded really angry, and my mom, she sounded scared.
Valerie Navarez was a daddy's girl. At 5 years old, she had never heard her father yell before, and never would again.
I came out of my room, I peeked around the corner and kind of was looking through the door, and I saw my dad with a gun, and he had it pointed to my mom. He started shooting, and I didn't know if he was going to hurt me too. It was really scary. And I ran back into my room, and I just hid under the bed until I didn't hear anything anymore. I took my flashlight, and I just kind of looked around, and I didn't see them. The only thing that was left was the blood. And I don't think I understood what really happened. I was still expecting them to come after me.
Police followed the trail of blood to a nearby ravine where they found the body of Valerie's mother. Later, her father took his own life. Meanwhile, Valerie was moved out of state to live with her mother's family, which wasn't easy.
Nobody really knew how to act around me. And I feel like a lot of people just took out their anger on me because Like, I reminded them of my dad.
Flashbacks and nightmares followed, along with lots of questions.
I wanted to know why my dad would leave me like this. And why he would hurt my mom. I was so angry. I felt really depressed. I was just always sad. Kids would tease me about not having my parents. My dad was crazy because he killed my mom. I remember thinking, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to live.
By the 6th grade, she had started using drugs and drinking alcohol to numb the pain of abandonment and betrayal. Soon she started having sex, hoping that would give her the love and acceptance she longed for.
I didn't want to keep feeling alone and just empty. I felt empty.
Then at 16, she had a baby girl.
It felt like I was going to be able to have something of my own. And so I stopped drinking, I stopped doing drugs, and I just wanted to be the best mom that I could.
After being a single mother for a couple of years, Valerie met the man she had married. Knowing that they'd need help as a young family, they started going to church.
We decided that we needed to go to church if we were going to make it. And they would always ask for people to come for prayer. And I remember just crying, just feeling a relief.
But Valerie was still holding on to the pain, anger, and disappointment of her past. Then finally, after spending many times in prayer, she decided to trust Jesus and let it all go.
And I just remember going to the altar and just crying and saying, okay, God, I'm ready. Whatever you want me to do, whatever you need to take from me, whatever I need to do, I'm yours. I'm ready. When I gave my life to God, I felt like I had the best father. Like, I had a dad that would never betray me. I just had the assurance that everything was going to be okay. And it was like he was telling me, like, I never left you. I was your father the whole time, when you were by yourself. I've always been there with you. Like, you're not an orphan.
Afterwards, Valerie was diligent in reading her Bible.
God began to do a miracle in my life. He began to take away the anger. It wasn't an overnight process, but God had restored my life. He gave me everything that I needed.
Later, her husband walked out, bringing back familiar feelings of betrayal, abandonment, and loneliness. It was a very difficult season for Valerie, but ultimately she came through it, trusting God more than ever before.
I just started praying, and I started fasting, and I started spending my time just getting closer to Him. He always heard my cry. He was the only one at rock bottom. Just like He says in His Word, He overcame the world. He's been there too. He overcame all of that, and He's gonna help us to overcome everything that we go through.
Valerie is now happily married to Ricardo and owns and operates a clothing company called Overcomer Apparel. She never misses an opportunity to tell people about the love of Jesus Christ.
Jesus is so good. He's so good. You can cry out to Him and He'll hear you on the instant where you're at. He can take a murder-suicide, He can take a divorce, and He can turn it all around, and He can still work it for your good. If God could change my life around, if He could give me hope, He can do it for anybody.
God can do it for anybody.
Amen.
Anybody. I don't know what rejection you faced in your life. I don't know what moment of pain you've been through or you're going through. Rejection is good. Because it gives you the opportunity to know the love of God. To know God cares for you. God watches over you. He is your Father. Real, perfect Father who loves you without condition. He loves you the way you are. He understands you better than any human being would and ever will. Your Father in heaven loves you. So every rejection in your life, look at it as an opportunity to know your Father's love. Look at it as an opportunity to experience His protection. What will you do when you're rejected in a relationship? When you feel disillusionment? When you feel disappointed in a relationship, what will you do? Draw close to your Father. Read your Bible. Pray. Fast. Get to know Him. That's the goal. Replace the idol with His love. What action will you take today towards those who have rejected you? Joseph forgave. He said, forgive yourself. I forgot about it a long time. Forgive those who have rejected you. They probably even disappointed you not knowing that they disappointed you. Or they outrightly disappointed you knowing. Forgive them. That's the only thing that will heal you. Forgive them. Are they living their life? Why are you in prison? Forgive. So that you can also have a life. Your Father wants you to forgive them so that you can experience His love.
Amen.
What action will you take today towards those who have rejected you? Do you want to love in a cup? Do you want the love of God in a... Do you want love in a cup or in an ocean? I want to encourage you to know that God loves you. People might reject you, and they will reject you. Your closest friends, your closest family members, even your spouse, will not be there for you 100% all the time. But if you know the love of God, you will allow the love of God to flood your soul and to heal you and to strengthen you. There's hope. There's hope for anybody who has been rejected. I want you to look at it as a victory for you. You are still alive. You're not dead like Rachel. You're alive. So there's hope. Encourage yourself. Strengthen yourself. Let that rejoice you. Let that cause bring some joy to your life. Realize that God has something better. God has something beautiful for you. That's why He allowed that rejection to happen in your life. That's why He allowed that pain to happen in your life. It's because of love. It's not because He hates you. It's because He loves you more than any person would ever love you. He is your Father. He's perfect. So I like us to pray. Is it your story? Are you facing rejection in your life right now? Your parents are not treating you the way you felt they should be treating you. They're not treating you like your child. If you are disappointed in your parents, you're disillusioned, well, turn to God. Your husband, your wife has failed you, has disappointed you. Your family, your relatives have rejected you. Turn to God this morning. He wants to give you an ocean of love. He wants to receive it. He wants you to be able to fulfill your dream, that dream that He put in you, that He created you to accomplish. You've not yet started that dream. And that love, that idol in your life has been stopping you. And something happened and you were rejected. Just let Him take over. Let Him lead you. Let Him guide you. Let Him help you. You'll be so happy at the end of it all that you allowed Him, that you went through that rejection. You'll be so full of hope, so full of peace that He went through, that you went through that rejection. I'd like us to sing. Let's sing this song to our Father. As we sing, I just want you to look up to God. Look up to Him. He is real. He loves you. His love is real.